From 17 points down in the third quarter, they end up winning by 13 points.
And the Roos are all smiles. They are victorious over the Giants on a frustrating night for them.
For GWS and Carlton, the time is now. No more near misses, no more slip-ups. With both teams looking for their first win of the season, only a victory today can keep their 2019 hopes alive.
Struts around the tackler, 20 metres out, and finishes!
Still a chance for the Blues. Line screws it back and nails it.
For the Giants and the Blues, finals footy has come early.
Both GWS and Carlton have seen wins slip through their grasp in the opening two rounds of 2019. They've also been put to the sword by new team and red-hot flag favourites North Melbourne. Today presents a fresh opportunity to move their season in the right direction. For the home side, it's about putting themselves back in the Conference B conversation. For the visitors, it's a chance to chalk up their first victory under the coaching of Daniel Harford. Welcome to round 3 of the NAB AFL Women's Competition as the GWS Giants and Carlton clash from Blacktown International Sports Park. Abby Holmes joining Nigel Carmody for the start to this one. And Abs, we said it's backs to the wall stuff, and you've had a real chance to soak things up at ground level. It seems tense.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, everything's on the line for both of these sides, so there's going to be added emotion to today's contest. But for me, it's really with GWS, they need to put out 4 quarters of effort. That's been their issue in the first couple of rounds. Same with Carlton, but on their front, I think they just need to get their best ball winners at the contest to really allow their forwards the opportunity to score goals. And I've been guilty of putting pressure on the likes of Taylor Harris and Darcy Vesio to kick goals, but you can't blame them when they haven't had, I guess, the ultimate inside 50 delivery.
Yeah, more on the two Achilles heels of the respective teams in a moment. We've had great access across the course of the season of the NAB AFL Women's Competition. A little bit earlier on, we were able to grab the final moments of Daniel Harford addressing his Carlton team ahead of this all-important clash.
We've done through the week, the build-up we've had, and what we've got here today, it's on us, all right? Let's go.
Huge day for the Blues as they try and defeat GWS for the 3rd time. They've won the previous encounters across the first 2 seasons of the NAB AFL Women's Competition. Good to see a number of the Giants male players who've been here for the club's fan day today set to watch on as Ellen McConnell's team try and get their first victory of the season. Abs, you mentioned it just before, GWS goalless in the 2nd and 4th quarters last week, and the Blues, they had 19 less inside 50s and 31 less possessions from the Crows. Both teams need to rectify those things.
Yeah, they do. And I look at Carlton's efforts last week, and they were really gallant for 2.5 quarters at Icon against Adelaide, but they just weren't able to put together a full game. But really positive sides, and I know the coaching staff were, excited about what they saw in that 2.5 quarters. So hopefully they can put it out there on the park today.
Yeah, some hope for the Giants, I think. In North Melbourne have cut a swathe through everyone in the competition so far this season. They only had 1 less inside 50. Admittedly, it was a hairy old night at Drummoyne last week, the rain and lightning and thunder and everything else that went on. But they had the same scoring shots, but they kicked to 11. They must be a lot cleaner this week if they're going to register their first 4 points of the season. Great to have GWS Giants male captain, co-captain, of course, with Callum Ward. Phil Davis joining us in special comments from the coverage today as well. And he's joined Boundary Side to have a look at the teams with our own Sam Lane.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Nigel and Abby. Well, the last time we played in Sydney, Phil, there was thunder and lightning. Today, there is brilliant sunshine, and it's a top of 28. It is very temperate. And you've been in a fan engagement exercise with 46, I think, of your teammates.
Yeah, we've had a big afternoon. We came out here about 2:30, and we've been doing some work with a lot of the fans that have come out. AFLW, AFL side, also the netball side. So it's been a great afternoon. And your teammates are forming a guard of honour for the GWS Giants. Let's take a look at the teams as the Blues run onto the field with a few supporters, it must be said, in these stands. But first up, we are going to look at the Carlton lineup. Now, they scored their last win in the AFLW, Phil, against the Giants. Who's taken your attention here? Yeah, for me, it's really interesting to see where Bree Davey plays. Obviously, with Taylor Harris back in this week after missing last week, plus Darcy Vesio.
three of their arguably best players all in the same forward 50. Is that the way they're going to go? For me, I'd put Bree Davey around the ball and see if she can get in there long and hard.
Now let's take a look at the Giants, of course, fancied pre-season by many as a team that could march all the way to a grand final this season. At the moment, they are exactly as they were placed this time last year, and that is winless after 2 outings. Take a look at this lineup, Phil, and tell us what we should be looking for.
Yeah, I think the contested ball side of the Giants game has been in a really good position the first 2 weeks, but just on the outside. So you're looking at the likes of the Jess Dalpos and Courtney Gum and Alicia Eva to get outside, provide some run and give the forwards some good opportunities to score.
It's a really good atmosphere down here. As I said, 28 degrees. It's a beautiful day to be outside, a beautiful day for footy. Back to you up there, Nigel and Abby.
Yeah, thanks, Sam, and thanks also to Phil. Great to welcome him to the coverage this afternoon. Let's have a look at some players in focus this afternoon, Abby. And Katie Loynes, we spoke about it on the NAB lead-up earlier on. She's just been a heart and soul player of this football club across its first couple of seasons. Equal best and fairest winner last season. She had 18 possessions in round 1, kicked the opening goal last week. She's the fire starter for the Blues.
She absolutely is, and you know that she's going to give 100% effort to this side. She's a real go-getter, goes in hard at the footy, and as we spoke to her pre-game, you know, it's her job to really win that footy at the contest and then get it to the runners on the outside. So I'm certain she's going to be that playmaker for the Blues today.
Carlton, under first-year coach Daniel Harford, attacked the NAB AFL women's draft strongly on a number of fronts. The best possible young talent and also some tried-and-true players to come in and get them up the NAB AFL women's competition ladder. We spoke to Daniel Harford about the impact of the new players at Icon Park.
So Madison Prasparkas was our first draft pick, picked 3 overall, has been a standout player in the Vic Metro and National Championships in the last couple of years. I think she's the best player in the draft. We were wrapped to be able to get her at 3. She's an inside player, she's an outside player, both sides of the body, gets a hell of a lot of the ball, reads the play really well. A class act, will be a good, very, very good player in a very short time. Jade Van Dyke's had a huge season in the VFLW for Hawthorn, who won the premiership. She was their best and fairest player, rising star for the competition, and we were tickled pink to get her at the pick we did in the draft. Super clear and thinking defender, reads the play really well, good skill level, intercept mark, but good at ground level as well. She's going to be big for us, I think. Jess Edwards, decorated player in South Australian footy, came to Victoria to pursue her career, was captain of Collingwood VFL, dogged competitor, can play back, can play midfield, gets a lot of the ball, tackles hard, defends really strongly, will play through the middle of the ground a lot for us this year.
There it is from the Blues side, and here come the Giants, led out by local lass Amanda Farrugia, and it's crunch time for the Giants. They were considered unlucky in many quarters to not make the finals last year, and today is all important to kickstart their 2019 campaign. Let's take the Giants song as they run out. Nice to see that the banner riders have got creative in the GWS camp after a tough Friday night at Drummoyne. Cora Staunton, so important this afternoon for the Giants, the Irish Gaelic legend. She's been in the AFLW Team of the Week through rounds 1 and 2. She leads the AFLW in inside 50s, but she was goalless last week, Abby. Alan McConnell probably needs her closer to goal.
Oh, definitely, Nudge. But as you can see there, she's so strong through the trunk. She's incredibly hard to bring to ground, and she can kick on her left and right foot. So we know how dangerous she is inside that forward 40 arc. But I'm excited to see Yvonne Bonner alongside her as well, a fellow Gaelic convert. So excited to see what these two can produce in that forward line.
Alan McConnell's got a lot of talent at his disposal. They need to come together to try and give them their first win of the season. He's downstairs with Sam Lane.
Thanks for joining us, Alan. How do you coach the natural anxiety that will be in your group when they turn up today still looking for that win?
Sam, it's the first time since 2017 our club has all been here on a reasonable night. So, good weather in Sydney, that's the truth. We've had shocking conditions. I think they're pretty excited about the fact that the whole club's here and they're going to get to watch them play. So I don't think probably a bit worried earlier in the week, but as the week's gone on, no problem.
Excited more than anxious. Now tell us, at the end of last week you said there was a lot of work to do forward of the ball. Has that forward of the centre, has that been your emphasis during the week? Yeah, look, 13 shots on goal last week, and we just need to convert a little bit better. Yeah, we've changed things a little bit structurally, but not as much as you think. There isn't that much time in the week. So to be honest, we think we'll structure up a bit better and we'll get some opportunities to score goals today. We look forward to watching it. Good luck. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks to Alan McConnell. It's Giants and Blues after this break. And stay with us at half-time when we sit down with Blues captain Bree Davey as she looks to lead the Blues back up the ladder in 2019.
Definitely about at roughly the 6-month mark, I started to see some real differences and started to realise how much the rehab has helped me along the way. So definitely some tough times, but I think I've grown and learned about myself from a personal point of view as well.
Macca's Kick to Kick is bigger than ever. Follow in the footsteps of your heroes and have a kick to kick with your friends and family after every NAB AFLW game. Footy fans of all ages can now take a specky like Taylor Harris or kick a goal like Erin Phillips on AFLW grounds across the country. Make sure you join in the fun after the siren, thanks to Macca's Kick to Kick.
Hi, I'm Tate Mackerel from the Giants. This weekend we take on the Blues at Blacktown. There's plenty to see and do, but the best part is... the hell?
A wonderful moment, and what a fantastic piece of content from the GWS Giants media team earlier in this week. They had Tate Mackerel staging a promotion for today's game, and in Love Actually fashion, she found out that she was going to be making her AFLW debut today. The girl from Port Broughton, 170 kilometres northwest of Adelaide. She won an Adelaide Uni Premiership a couple of years ago and played with Essendon in the VFLW this season. We wish her all the best today for this massive game. Now she's starting on the bench.
Best day I've had of my career was my first game, so she's in for a special one.
Exciting day for the 19-year-old, and it's action time here at Blacktown International Sports Park. Round 3 action between the Blues and GWS, and we've got an early free kick, and it's going to go against the somewhat demonstrative Maddie Prespakis, last week's NAB AFL Rising Star nominee, and it's going to go to Courtney Gum. A big game from her this afternoon. Hand on that ball from Pound, who rolled off her defensive opponent. In fact, it was Mullane. So Delpos chopped off. Prespakis commits low and wins the footy, and a free kick. Playing beyond her years, just her 9th quarter in the competition, would you believe? Kick to space. Randall and Vessio's a marquee matchup this afternoon, and Vessio's packed the tough stuff. Great tackle, but a little bit too much in it. And Pepper Randall, she is sore in the back as she gets up here. Of course, from a long line of Hawks, she was a Hawthorn VFLW Premiership player last year. Her great-grandfather played there, as did grandfather. Now Vessio working the mark strongly. She is here to play. Vessio with a vacant goal fast to shoot at. Almost better for Harris. And on the second bite, Taylor's on her return, and an early bite, an early shot.
And that's what you want to see from Darcy Vessio there. Yes, she gave away the free kick, but she was good enough to make the smother, the second effort to follow up the footy, dodge the player and deliver to Taylor Harris. Very good from Darcy Vessio.
This is the difference between Taylor Harris being a good player and a gun in this competition. She's 9-15 in her career. Make that 9-16. Laid out last week with a shoulder. A handy return, though, for the Giants. For the Blues, sorry. Have you seen Darcy Vessio start a game better, Abby?
No, I don't think I have. And I spoke pre-game about really wanting Darcy Vessio and Taylor Harris to have a strong impact from this first bounce. So if that's the start, that's what we wanted.
They're defending resolutely. Gum under pressure from Davey. Can get the kick wide, creates the foot race, hunting up to it. And clever footwork from Dalton. We'll see that from her this afternoon. The kick inside 50 was neat, but at the feet of Vessio. Gum to Randall. Randall might be run down by G. She just gets the kick away. It's to space on the sanctuary of the line. And Phil, the Giants' defence under siege early. Who's going to be the leader to settle things down for them here?
Yeah, it's been an unbelievable start by Carlton. Their pressure and physicality has been the real difference so far. The Giants just need to get some possession for ball. Take a marker, take a sting out of the game.
Some good experience back there, of course. Tanya Hetherington played over 150 games in the VFL women's competition. Moody in the ruck, the other joint best and fairest winner last year. Del Post just buys some time by foot at the feet of Bernardi. Needs a big game this afternoon. She pivots through Stevens to Eva, through the hands of Beeson. Gum, she's been busy early. Farrugia, just a quick kick forward, good courage. Kept the eyes on it, did Jess Edwards, and took the mark. She eyed the corridor, but hugs the line instead. Wide for Van Dyke. Another Hawthorn VFL Women's Premiership player last year. Kicks a little bit shallow. McKinnon slow on the uptake. Tompkins, she couldn't get hand to ball, got a foot in the end. Gee, just so clean. Runner on the outside, into space. Set shot at goal. Dalton misses. Now she is electric, Abby Holmes. Chloe Dalton, 11 possessions and a goal last week, of course. She was a gold medalist at the Rio Olympics in rugby sevens, and here she is 2.5 years later lighting up AFLW.
Carlton looking very dangerous early. As Phil said, just the pressure at the footy is really causing headaches for GWS early.
Tanya Hetherington taking advantage of the new kick-in rule, but again, Carlton's defence have rolled up really high here, and it was Gab Pound with the intercept mark. Every player in Carlton's attacking half. We might have a 50, we do.
Yeah, Cora Staunton, unfortunately, just running over the mark there.
And Cora Staunton has a little bit more footy under her belt, but we saw Yvonne Bonner, the other Irish woman who's in her first season, quoted in the media this morning saying that she's struggling to adjust to some of the rules given how quick the game's moving, that being one of them.
Yeah, Bonner from Donegal in Northwest Ireland. So new convert to the AFL game, but really exciting player to watch.
Gab Pound's kicked one AFLW goal in her 16 games so far. Girl from Albury, played a lot of footy with Melbourne Uni. That goal incidentally came in the first clash between these two teams, round 2, 2017. And the Blues are off to a flyer. Phil, the Giants have had 3 more possessions, but they need to hit the reset button and quickly here. What do?
Yeah, they've just got to get the ball in their half. They're getting pinned in so well because of the defensive setup that Carlton have got behind their ball movement.
Could not have hoped for a better start here, the Blues. It'll be Edwards to clear it this time. Kick is wide. Runner in G. She's normally pretty clean. One touch on this occasion. Snap around her body, looking for Vesio. Has Randall as a second skin. Randall comes in to win that footy. Brush buys Eva some time, and she manages to hug the line, gets the kick forward. Loynes commits as always, and then tackles Barclay to the ground. The handball fortuitously to Eva. Shares it with Stevenson, who's kick cues its way inboard. Clever from Beeson. And now a chance perhaps for the Giants. Virtually no one in their attacking half. Bonner's kick will take grass into the 50. It's Bernardi and Van Dyke in a one-on-one. Van Dyke wins the footy. Bernardi wears her closely. Is she rewarded? No, but you'll take the forward 50 stoppage.
As you can see that ball coming in, Carlton just outnumbering. Their setup behind the ball has been outstanding to start the game.
Stevenson nominated in the ruck, but it'll be Hosking to whistle it away from the Downey tap. Presenting as Moody, paddled it forward, had support from Walker, who was coming in off the bench. Goes to ground. It's a really hard surface there. There's Tate Mackerel's first involvement in AFLW. Handball backwards. It's Dalton, or Walker, in fact, to Edwards. Now to Loynes. Long kick down the line. Plain, who kicked 2 last week, warmed closely by Farrugia, and gets the free kick for the hold. An advantage is paid. Harris darts away, open goal. She won't miss that. Taylor Harris with the 10th goal of her NAB AFL women's competition career, and this is a hot start from Daniel Harford's Blues. Exactly what you got to do when you're on the road with your backs to the wall. Delpos, the clearing kick off the half volley. Barclay regathers her footing as runner in support in the form of Bennett. Curls the kick. Beeson traps it on the second bite, looks for space. Again, just pushes the kick forward, and infringing is Bentley. And Yvonne Bonner will take the free kick. Kirby Bentley just caught in that spot. Defenders hate to be in, Phil. Back to the footy, and you know it's coming.
Yeah, the problem is as a backman, all you want to know is where the ball is. And when you don't do that, you rely on looking at the player. And, unfortunately for the Carlton defender, she got caught like that, and you make front-on contact. It's a free kick. It was well played by Von, who obviously very new to the game, knew the nuances to get the free kick there.
She kicked a really neat set shot to get things going against Brisbane in round 1. Just starts this right. It's a good-looking drop punt despite being inaccurate.
Well, we saw Cora Staunton in her first year with the angled kick, didn't we, Nudge? Whereas, Yvonne Bonner's got a great technique coming straight into the game.
Girl from Glenfin in Northwestern Ireland. Carlton mucking around with it in defence as they look for an exit point. Harrington, athletic, can burst away and break the lines. Chipping kick. Disciplined play over the top from Farrugia, but Plain can regather and give it back to Harrington, fresh off 20 touches last week. Her kick's got perhaps a little bit too much on it. Mark not trapped. Chance here for G on the receive. She'll try and kick to space again, and that time Hetherington knew what was coming. stayed goal side of Harris and can take the relieving mark. Kick is wide and safe for Farrugia, and you feel like the Giants are just starting to get their game style going, Abby.
Yeah, they're a little bit more composed with footy in hand. They're finding targets and just taking their time to find the best option, as we're seeing right now.
And it's Bonner on this occasion hitting up to the wings. Kick long. Harrington didn't fly in the end. Mark dropped by Bernardi. Away goes Van Dyke. Taking no chances with a wide ball. Farrugia in plane, and Farrugia can shield that to the line. We said Nat Plain coming off 2 goals last week. Should be a dangerous player to cover this afternoon for the Giants, and taking no chances with the skipper having the job. Amanda Farrugia coming off a very good season last year. She was 3rd in the Giants' best and fairest. So if you're just joining us, Gab Pound and Taylor Harris going bang bang to start things for the Blues. Moody. Tap went straight to Parker. Another NAB Rising Star nominee kicking to the centre of the ground. Bentley couldn't trap it. Staunton low and hard on that cricket pitch area. Pound. Who can be clean here? Stevens on the second bite. Met by some Giants solidly. Elise Parker started on the bench for the Giants. She's had an excellent start to the season. Just 2 games in, but ranked 3rd in the competition already for hardball gets.
Yeah, she's been brilliant. Obviously awarded with a NAB Rising Star nomination.
Mullane will try and buy some time for Brazzali. Eventually gets the tricky ball to come up to her. She was thrown out of the contest by Bennett. No free kick. Numbers with the Blues at half-back, though. Harrington assesses her options. Kick hugging the line. Hand on it or a push. There was a hand on it from Stevenson, and she's not happy with Hosking. And now Brazzali getting against Stevens, the 2 number 12s. Gab Pound came in and played peacemaker and just patted
Give her a bit of a
Louise
tap on the head.
Stevenson on the head. They, of course, were teammates at Melbourne Uni in the VFL women's competition once upon a time. So it'll be Hosking down the line, flying through plane. Carlton's forward line is energetic at the moment. Davey tackles Eva to the turf, and it'll be locked in the right half of the ground for the Blues.
And they're working really hard, the Carlton forwards nudge, up the ground and then pushing hard back. So they're running really well in both directions.
Carlton with 7 inside 50s to 2. It's a work around the contest that's been just as impressive so far, Phil.
Yeah, and I think what they've been able to do is actually break lines with their ball movement. Giants have been very, very static in comparison.
Gum hustling her way through. Hosking taken high. It's the only way for the Twins.
Head first into a contest.
Hard footy to win at all occasions. Sarah Hosking on this occasion takes it. 6th in the Blues, best and fairest last year, including in the best in the win over the Giants in round 2. And Plain had her jumper held there by Hetherington, and in the end, Vesio and Randall. Looks like Pepper Randall. She might follow Darcy Vesio on the flight home. She's wearing her that closely at the moment.
Yeah, look, I firsthand have had an experience against Pepper Randall, and she's one of the toughest defenders that I've ever played against. She does. She just runs with you, gives you 0 space, and yeah, loves it off the footy as well, Nudge.
All-Australian squad member last season. Over the top, Moody on McKinnon. Coming in, Walker, hunting for it. Good work from Bonner, and she's learnt that part of the game. When you get trapped on the footy at the bottom of a pack, make it look like you want to handball it, and you won't be penalised. McKinnon with the 2 hands. That ball going nowhere again. Davey and Gum. Let's head boundary side to Sam Lane.
Guys, they lost to Adelaide by 13 points last week after being 17 points up, and yet Daniel Harford was really pressing all the positives. He was so positive. He kept saying they're so much better than last week. I feel like they're playing in the coach's image right now. They are up.
McKinnon, handball to Eva. Davey stayed involved in the contest. Players struggling with a bit of handling on the surface here at Blacktown International Sports Park, despite the fact that it is bone dry, as Maddie Collier, the Giants receptionist, takes the free kick, and that's not good signs as Alicia Eva coming off the ground. She's made it tough stuff, so must be something gravely wrong there. There might be even worse things coming as Hosking intercepts Harris, the 2-footed jump. Couldn't take the mark. Who's got the recovery? Free kick will go the way of the debutant Tate Mackerel for a push in the back. And Alicia Eva is heading straight down the race for the Giants. Sam Lane will have an update for us on that in a moment. So inside the final 3 minutes of the opening term, Giants have held Carlton at bay. We've got an encroachment free kick. Just coming over the mark there was Dalton. So free kick and a 50-metre penalty going the way of the Giants. So the Blues without a goal in 7 minutes. Beeson takes advantage of that new rule. Giants a rare foray forward. Barclay Knocked away by Van Dyke, and she recovers to support Bentley, who can gather, shrug gum, put Harrington under pressure. Cora Staunton's got her. She's going nowhere. No prior. Play continues. Now it's Barclay's chance. The snap and the goal. The Giants needed it. Jacinda Barclay getting on the end of really smart play from Beck Beeson to take advantage of that new 50-metre penalty rule.
Yeah, no one in front of her, so Beck just took the space in front of her and, you know, turns it from a back flank into a deep kick inside 50.
Parker can emerge from the stoppage, and maybe they can square it up at 2 goals each. Staunton and Harrington, another big matchup this afternoon. Harrington wins the day on that occasion. Handball puts Hosking under some serious pressure. Jess Hosking goes the second time. Bentley just shielded it to Stevens. It was an iffy kick. You could see it in her face. Beeson, what a term she's having. Kick on the 45. They can open things up again here. The Giants, margin at 7 points, as see the numbers fold back ahead of Parker's left footer. Staunton jumper tug, couldn't complete the mark. Prespakis back to Harrington. Caught in the box here is Van Dyke off the hand of Prespakis. Harrington has had plenty of work to do in the opening quarter. Kick to a really dangerous spot. Stevens under pressure. Gave Bennett a backhander for her troubles. Away go the Blues. The centre of the ground, Edwards. Kick at the feet of Harris. Big turnover. Parker getting really busy for the Giants. Bennett's the bodywork. Van Dyke stayed down. It was Downey's ball, and it will be Al Downey's ball for one in the back.
Yeah, Bennett's just running into the back of Downey there and giving away the free kick.
Let's see how the Blues manage the clock as Alicia Eva re-enters the fray. Prespakis to Davey. Davey short has the lead up in the shoot through Brazali.
So important to have Alicia Eva out there. Not only is she one of their star players, but it's essentially having a coach out on the ground, isn't it, Phil?
Versio over the top, couldn't get hands to that one.
Yeah, the on-field leadership is so important, especially if you look at the start that they've had, the Giants. They needed someone to settle them down, and Alicia's, you know, very calm head, but also a very good player. So her work around the ball plus her leadership is going to be really important.
Elise Parker started the term on the bench. She'll probably finish it there. 6 possessions, 3 inside 50s and 147 metres gained already. She's on track for another big one. McKinnon the tap down. Bentley, one last chance perhaps for both teams, depending on the fate of this footy. Barclay wore the contact, got the snap forward. Staunton, did she have enough of it? No, goes again. Great fight at ground level. Jess Hosking, paddling ball Van Dyke. Big turnover. Beeson again, just going to hit and hope. And good hope it is. Bernardi takes the mark. And this is right on the absolute range. She'd have to get all of this, Abby Holmes, to score.
Yeah, she absolutely will. But she was so impressive at the Pies last year. She won their leading goal kicker award before being traded out to the Giants. So it will take a very solid kick from her. But let's see if she's got the distance in the legs.
1-3 for the season for the former Pie. News and the R's of the crowd told you that she'd made good contact. Not a bad effort, but not quite enough for the Giants to add to their tally. It's the Blues by 7 points, but virtually a quarter of 2 halves. It was all Carlton early. The Giants finished strong. Game on here at Blacktown International Sports Park at quarter time. It's the Blues by 7 points.
For one night only. Superheroes will soar.
It's taking off.
4 super teams.
Full of superstars.
Have a look at that.
It's like a whole season in one night, live and free from Marvel Stadium.
It's fast and ferocious fun. When mates take on mates.
The superheroes of AFLX, next Friday, live on 7.
It'll be super.
Well, that's about as entertaining an 18 minutes as you'll see in the NAB AFL Women's Competition. A red-hot start to be expected given both these teams in Conference B came in without a win heading into round 3. And the opening quarter had everything you could expect. It was hot, contested footy, but some skill on show as well. Gab Pound and Taylor Harris kicking goals inside the opening 6 minutes for the Blues. A late one to Jacinda Barclay. And at quarter time here at Blacktown International Sports Park, it's Carlton, the visitors, holding a 7-point lead over the GWS Giants, who are looking to try and climb up the Conference B ladder. Karen Harrington, as we said during the call, having a lot of work to do inside defensive 50. She had 8 possessions, and we mentioned the young gun, Elise Parker, off the farm from Holbrook, and she is dominating the AFLW midfields already with 6 touches. Beck Beeson also very impressive, and Courtney Gum looking to replicate her 2018 form, also very good. Abby Holmes, it is just such an evenly poised contest so far.
Yeah, it is, and you can really sense that added emotion to this contest with both sides coming in without a win. But a tale of 2 halves, as he said in that opening quarter. All Carlton early, and then GWS Giants were really able to settle, hit targets, get the ball forward, and got a goal on the board. So Alice Parker, though, sensational. She's a really exciting prospect.
Alan McConnell, one of the building blocks of the GWS Giants. He was one of the foundation members of the footy club when they first set foot into Western Sydney. He's his 2nd year in charge of the AFLW program. We went inside his quarter-time huddle a little bit earlier on.
Shape so we can use the ball better. Mids, what's your focus? Okay, yeah, okay. But right now we're batting at 6 missed tackles. We're out tackling them, but we've missed 6. You can't get away with that. You've got to make the tackle, okay? And get on the move. Nice balance. Get on the move around the stoppage. We're smashing them on stoppage. All right, it's good.
Great access with Al McConnell and the GWS Giants at quarter time. Sam Lane had ears on Daniel Harford's address to the Blues. Sam.
Yeah, very happy with the confident start, and what it proves to the Blues, and this is what Daniel Harford and his team were emphasising, is the way we pushed Adelaide last week, that was not a fluke. We can do it if we bring our A game, and they're bringing it, and they're doing it 2 weeks in a row.
So the Blues start the second term here with a 7-point advantage, but haven't kicked a goal in about 12 minutes of footy here. Downey will do the follow-up from the tap. She's worn closely by Eva, who's shaken off the effects of that earlier injury. Mullane grabbed the hand pass, then works her way out of the stoppage. The kick forward, not clean. Eva will have to wear the contact, and she's going nowhere. Phil, we heard Alan McConnell's address. You've been here at the footy club pretty much as long as he's been. How important has he been to the building of the culture across the entire organisation?
Yeah, he's been enormous. The thing that I think it rubs off so well on the girls is his calmness. That's what he's brought to the footy club since day one. He's seen it all and been it all and done everything. So, you know, in this situation, 0-2 and down at quarter time, it's so important.
McKinnon targeted only as far as Press Parks, and then you see her and Alicia Eva going head-to-head. Coach and pupil. McKinnon's handball missed the intended target of Faruja. Stevenson will be stopped by a cluster of Blues.
And just on our McConnell, I did see Emma Swanson down boundary side pre-game, and she couldn't have, I guess, any better words to say from him. She's loving having him as a head coach, and actually said she feels like she's at the University of Football with his knowledge.
Free kick to Dalton for the Blues. They'll get another inside 50. Vesio couldn't get a fly on it, and as a result, she's held. And this is the sort of goal that we've seen Darcy Vesio eat up across the first couple of seasons.
We know how good she is in front of goal, and this is about spot on her distance.
So 0-2 in round 1, 1-1 last week against the Crows. It was a pretty classy finish in the third term when she stayed down in a contest, wore the ball off the pack. But set shot here for Darcy Vesio. She's 20 goals, 13 in her AFLW career so far with the Blues. Makes good contact there, and the Blues are back out by 13.
Great to see Darcy Vesio pop that one through. That is goal 21 for her in AFLW. Not only great on the field, she is one of the best off the field as well. These are 2 memorable posts. The one with the little girl heralding the very first AFLW game. That one recently. She is a very followable person on the social media landscape, guys.
Thanks, Sam, as Mullane ushers the handball wide for Dalton, who's patrolling that wing impressively. She stopped in her tracks on this occasion. Carlton identified the pace from rugby sevens of Brooke Walker making her debut this afternoon, and Chloe Dalton, and it's on show so far as Eva's kick isn't far enough to reach its intended target, and another opportunity here for Dalton. It's a neat kick of the footy as well. Vesio to the front. Randall not infringing this time. Diving hand pass from Press Parkers. Chopped off. Brush just tried to pull the kick. Chopped off Harrington. Kick slides off the side of the boot, but it works. Sits for Edwards, takes on Stevenson, has to get boot to ball. Eventually it's a hand pass. G, back to Edwards. Beeson has her. G can't emerge as the smallest player in the contest. Stevenson regathers. Looks to exit 50 with a handball. Edwards wears the Beeson contact. Margin at 13 points. Jess Edwards, a handy pickup, the 29-year-old. Started her footy journey at the Wandsworth Demons in AFL London. The Blues work it forward. Vesio gets the bounce. Can't get the goals. It works its way across the face.
She's getting her hands on the footy, though, isn't she, Darcy Vesio? And that's what you want to see. Both her and Harris are confidence players. When they're up, they're up. And it's good signs for Carlton fans early.
Stevenson, a chance for an easy exit here again. Struggling to grab it on the half volley. Free of Prespakis. Off to Eva. There's a cursory glance, and simple option is the short one in the form of Beeson. She looks corridor. Giants trying to open it up. Del Pos been quiet so far. Ball bounces across the cricket pitch. Plain, who's familiar in that territory, gathers. Her kick smothered though off the hands to G. A neat user of the ball typically. The feet of Edwards, who stayed upright while Stevenson was down. Edwards dashes away. Had a short target, goes longer to Vesio on the second bite. And she's winning the marquee matchup against Pepper Randall right now. She'll go off the line, keep it moving. And this is the Carlton we saw in glimpses last week against Adelaide. It's a question of how they sustain it and how they take their chances. Maddie Prespakis will be the next one.
Quality 2.5 quarters last week, as you mentioned, Nudge, against the Crows, and they have started like this again. Ball in this young lady's hands. Madison Prespakis, such a quality player.
Girl who started her footy journey at Romsey, northwestern outskirts of Melbourne. 20 touches and a goal last week. She's continuing the dose this afternoon. It's all Blues. So Carlton out to a 20-point lead, and let's head into the Carlton camp. Nick Stevens joins us. Nick, this is the best we've seen Carlton in 2019.
Yeah, I think you're right with that one. We went off to a really good start, and it's just about trying to put it together for 4 quarters, and we've got our confidence early, and it's really just building on those small moments, and I think we're doing really well so far.
As the Giants go inside 50 here, work to do for Van Dyke. She's bodied out of it by Bonner. She's going to carve a path, find her left boot. What a finish! The Irish woman sets Blacktown alight. Thanks so much to Carlton's Nick Stevens. It was a very brief conversation because GWS, Phil, showing the advantage perhaps of the new 5-6-5 setup at the bounces to chain it out so easily from the stoppage and get the quick reply.
Yeah, if you get the ball quickly in your forward line, just so much more space, no loose numbers anywhere. So Von Bonner, who's a great one-on-one player, was able to use that.
The Blues will try and continue the dose. Hosking, long kick. Harris with separation. Couldn't complete it. Ferrugia stripped. Harris recovers. Couldn't point the compass in the right direction, though.
How dangerous are they looking, Nudge? And I really wanted to speak to Nick Stevens about, I guess, their plan going into this game with their inside 50s. We know that they were minus 19 against Adelaide last week, but there's a clear difference in this Carlton side coming out against GWS today.
Every time it's going inside the Blues' attacking zone, they seem to be scoring. Staunton left it for Brazzali. Gum stops her in her tracks.
One thing I've noticed so far is just Carlton's ability to outnumber in their forward half, even with extra Giants players around.
Gum the clearance. Works for Bonner. She went to take off and hit pause. She'll have players working forward. She tries to step down. Gaelic football versus basketball. Gaelic footy wins the day. Bernardi couldn't take the mark. Staunton gets involved. Here's Bonner rushing through. Dishes the handball. Bernardi takes on Van Dyke. Space now for Bennett. Has to steady. Has to finish. Can't.
We've got a Giant down inside their forward 50.
Looks to be Christina Bernardi. So we'll have Sam Lane monitoring that. In fact, the umpire will elect to just stop play with the player down inside the defensive 50. So a chance for the Giants to get set here. What a pulsating contest we've got, though, and just the way the ball is zinging up and back here at Blacktown. Christina Bernardi back up, and she'll take her place inside. The Giants set up for this kick, and here's the contact she copped on the way through. In fact, it comes from behind. She was just ridden into the turf slightly in the Karen Harrington tackle as Bernardi dished it off to Bennett. Bernardi's recovered. She almost was able to intercept that footy from Kirby Bentley, the former Docker. Kick for Loins outstretched, and where's some contact from Parker? It's not 50. Points, you hear the kick thud in the effects mark. Clean work from Stevenson, who's in the better spot to receive. Moody overran it. Bonner, she's on fire right now. The game-breaking player forward, perhaps. Decides to load up with a bit of a corkscrew Gaelic-style kick. Gum almost. Off the ground. Gathering it there was Hicks. Bernardi went to ground. Harrington's hand pass chopped off by Barclay. Pound has to be clean. Stripped. Gum emerges. Space for Staunton. Favoured right boot. Goal! Cora brings the Giants back from the brink.
A beautiful finish there by Cora Staunton, but I'm really enjoying seeing the ball in hand of Yvonne Bonner, especially around that half-forward mark. She's so electric and really delivering the ball inside 50. Well, Nudge.
The Irish experiment working for the Giants. G emerges, though, from the stoppage, and again, there's space under the 5-6-5 set up for Harris. Plain has a bit of orange and charcoal around her to beat. Mackel, very good kick, just pulls it on this occasion. Maybe had to pull the trigger a little bit harder, and hustling towards it was the impressive Chloe Dalton. She's got time and space to run a bit of a J-curve here. Just chip that kick up. Harris has caught 3 or 4 deep. Stevenson parked herself at the full. Hosking couldn't draw the free, or could she? It's a push, and it's a Blues ball. Maybe a little bit of a flip of the coin.
Yeah, not entirely sure what that one was for, Nudge. But
this style of play of the Hosking twins, where they hit the contest so hard at its speed, it has the capacity to draw the odd free kick. Sarah Hosking's got 2 goals as a Blue. Just to steady things for Carlton. Tings into the post, so she can't add to the couple of AFLW goals she's got so far. Margin at 8 points. It was 7 at quarter time. Giants have kicked the last 2 after the Blues kicked the opening couple. Hetherington, a wily veteran, takes advantage of those new rules, and again will push this well out to half back. Parker had slapped her hands. Davey. Beeson has to wear the contact from Press Parkers. And Press Parkers takes the free kick for high contact. She cuts the kick. Harris. There is just an understanding and fluency we haven't seen from either of these teams' forward lines in the first couple of weeks, Abby.
if you're Taylor Harris and you're running out of the square, seeing that ball delivered like that from Maddie Press-Parker, I'm going to be a very happy girl. So Taylor, one of the best key forwards in the competition, needs to slot this one for Carlton.
All-Australian in both seasons, second best and fairest for the Blues last year. Starts it right, works it left, that's all good. Margin back to 14 points here at Blacktown. Taylor Harris, like many athletes in AFLW, a bit of a dual sport phenom. Back in November, she fought for the Australian ladies middleweight title. She had a draw on that occasion, so she'll be looking to try and get back into the ring when her footy commitments allow her to try and take that belt good and proper.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal athlete, isn't she? And scary prospect to come up against as a AFLW defender.
Mullane earns the free kick. It kicks off the side of her boot. Walker on debut, hustles in. Works it forward. Vesio and Harris. This time it's help defence in the form of Monaghan. Wearing the contact was Brush. Tackled to the turf by Vesio, who's putting on the forward pressure. Bennett toes it in hope. Good trap from Jess Hosking. Wide for Dalton to Walker. The 2 Rugby Sevens girls hook up, and almost the right kick there. Hosking just couldn't gather. Staunton working in defence, and free kick go the way of the Giants deep in defence. After looking to steady after back-to-back goals to Yvonne Bonner and Cora Staunton, there quickly under siege once again. The margin back to 14 points.
We just see the free kick count there as well, Nudge. 10 to Carlton, 5 GWS.
Del Pos to Bonner, who's providing that hit-up option today. Sinks the kick deep for Bernardi. Through her hands, has to recover. Goes off the ground, gets a piece of it at least towards Beeson, who's stopped by Edwards.
If the Giants were to win the footy there, there's no one home inside that forward 50. So they just need their forwards and midfielders to be working harder forward towards goal.
G couldn't clear it, gets a second opportunity and decides to go by hand. They'll get running here, the Blues. Davey arches the shoulders, couldn't get the bounce of the ball, but time to regather and work it into space. It'll sit for Walker, gathers, can't get free of Randall, work for Harris. Had her legs taken out from under her by Gum, so Brush feigns the handball, then eventually does, but misses the target. And it'll be a Blues ball under the last disposal rule.
Bree Davey to bring this one back into play. She actually ruptured that ACL against GWS last year.
Harris. And looks like the change has been made. Pepper Randall now marking Taylor Harris.
Yeah, well, she's starting to be a little bit of a more influential player down forward, isn't she? So Pepper Randall, one of their best defenders, taking the best forward.
Harris, a thumping kick, but to no one in particular, and Elle Bennett's there, who played netball last winter for the New South Wales Waratahs. Original sport, of course, before coming to AFLW. Mackerel's handball puts Brush under all sorts of pressure. She can regather the debutante. Kick to space, but tall Blues back there. Van Dyke. Kick away despite the best efforts of Barclay. It's wide through the hands of Harris.
Tate Mackerel looks right at home here in the GWS lineup. She's got the 4 disposals midway through, heading towards half-time. But from one country, South Australian nudge to another. I'm very proud of her for getting out there for a debut game.
Phil Davis is a South Australian. You've lived in most states of Australia.
Phil, I still haven't forgiven you for leaving the Crows.
Firmly a Giant. Co-captain with Callum Ward for another season. Beeson, Collier, Ferrugia, scrubby kick caught at the back. Bonner makes sense of it. Hard to believe she's played 10 official quarters of this game.
It's amazing, isn't it?
She looks right at home. Now working away off the line here for some space with the kick. Slews off the side of her boot. Who's it going to work for? G in a foot race. Barclay. G is just so clean and composed. Kick from Van Dyke. Stevens. McKinnon, good recovery from the leading ruck in the competition. All-Australian last year, leading the hit-outs in the comp through the first couple of weeks. But feels so important for your ruck to be able to follow up like that and become that extra midfielder.
Yeah, it makes a massive difference. You know, her work obviously in the hit-outs is sensational. She's leading the comp in that area, but you know, her biggest area for improvement, and she's getting so much better, is that work around the ground.
Another great story. She was coached by her mum Michelle at the Mossman Swans in inner Sydney. Mum had to learn the game from absolute scratch and has become quite an accomplished coach as Hosking runs a figure 8 back to Downey. Can they get out here, the Blues? Hosking support in the Roadrunner. Away goes Dalton. Kick inside 50. It's one-on-ones here for the Blues. Harris again. She's got Velcro for hands today. And just about in range, perhaps, Taylor Harris. Needs to wind up a bit more than this. Pulls the kick for another one-on-one at the back. Edwards, Bennett's Brush off the ground. Won't be penalised with the change to the rule about the ball going out of bounds inside forward 50. Taylor Harris, what a game she's having. Hard to believe she's coming back into the team from a shoulder injury last week. 6 possessions, 4 marks, 3 inside 50s, 2 goals, 1 already this afternoon. And the dominant forward on the ground. Some forwards who are contending for that title. Yvonne Bonner, one of them. Beeson's been excellent in midfield for the Giants. Barclay, Van Dyke comes to meet it. Gathers and just gets the handball away after the contact from Collier, and dealt with as she kicked was Gab Pound. So that'll be a Blues ball at half forward to Jess Edwards, captain Collingwood's VFLW team last year. Wants plain. She's bodied under it. Harris again. Can she dish? She does. It's advantage. It's a goal to the Blues, and Maddie Press-Parkes has 2 for the turn.
From Maddie Press-Parkes. Taylor Harris managed to get the free kick, but just had the awareness and the time and space to know that she could kick that goal on her own. She's such a quality young player, and Nudge, it's fantastic to see the youngsters coming out of the development programs all the way from Auskick through to the AFL. It's phenomenal to see.
Yeah, Maddie Press-Parkes' 3rd AFLW game today. As we said, started her footy journey with Romsey through the Sunbury Lions into the Calder Under-18s program, where she was coached by her opponent in midfield today, Alicia Eva. She was excellent with Melbourne Uni, best on ground in the AFL Women's Under-18 exhibition match last year. And Carlton are on world record pace for them as we head to half-time, 6-4-40. Their record score in the competition is 8-6-54 against the Bulldogs back in round 5, 2017. They have opened the floodgates here. Davey forward from Elaine. The clock might beat her. The regather won't help. Free kick will be given away by Dalton, who's done very little wrong in this opening half. And Carlton have packed their absolute best for the trip into Sydney's West. After leading by 7 points at quarter time, they head to the main change with a 20-point advantage, and they're in the box seat to record their first win in over 370 days. Their last victory in the NAB AFL women's competition against the Giants at Drummoyne, round 2, 2018. What a half from a couple of their guns. There's Maddie Pressparker, she's got 2. Darcy Vesio has been equally dangerous with 1 goal. Taylor Harris, though, there she is on screen. A goal in each quarter and some terrific marks. She's been both provider and scorer. And let's head into the Carlton camp as they head for the shed. Sam Lane has their skipper.
We won't hold her in the middle of the ground. We'll walk and talk, Bree. You lost last week, but you're playing like absolute winners. Tell us about the confidence level in the build-up to today.
Yeah, look, I think we've built on each week. The first week didn't quite go our way and didn't start with a great result, but then the second week we showed what we can do. We've just been unlucky and unfortunately didn't put 4 quarters together, but today we started strong, so again, got to play 4 quarters, we've got a half to go, so see how we go.
Maddie Pressparker, we are just loving watch. 2 goals in that term. Tell us about being a teammate and what you're seeing with your very trained eye.
Yeah, Mads has been great. For a young player to come in and just impact the competition straight away, it's a huge thing, and for us it's making a difference, and I know for her it's given her that confidence to go out each week and play well, so yeah, pumped to have girls like Mads in, and again, debutants playing well, that's what you want.
It's great to see you back too, Bree. Good luck in the second half.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam, and thanks to Bree Davey. It's the Blues by 20 points at halftime here at Blacktown International Sports Park.
When the game is close, 7 takes you closer. What a game of footy! Have you ever seen anything like it? This is going to go close. It's a goal. It's a goal. It's big. It's live. It's free. And it's for everyone on Australia's home of footy. 7.
This is the Carlton that Daniel Harford would have dreamed of when he accepted the role as their second AFLW coach. They've been simply electric. They kicked the first 2 goals of the game. That strike from Yvonne Bonner early in the second quarter really brought the Giants back into it, but Carlton have answered, and it's been Taylor Harris, the dominant player in the contest. She's got 2. Maddie Pressparker has 2, and after 4-2 to 2-1 in the second quarter, it's Carlton with a 20-point lead at halftime in our round 3 clash, the NAB AFL Women's Competition Conference B action. Both teams looking to chalk up their first win of the season. Abby Holmes joining me as we have a look at halftime, and pretty simple looking at the Host Plus performance played at halftime. Abby Holmes, Taylor Harris has been in her electric best.
She has, hasn't she? With 6 disposals, 4 marks for 2 goals, 1, but she's also had the 3 inside 50s. So not only is she finishing in front of goal, but she's pumping the ball inside 50 to give her teammates best use too.
And it looks like they've made the switch. Alan McConnell perhaps putting Pepper Randall on as a better matchup. She's got her work cut out in the second half though.
Yeah, Pepper Randall started on Vesio, but with Taylor Harris being so influential, he's moved one of his best defenders onto Taylor to really try and nullify her influence.
Not all going to plan for the Orange and Charcoal at halftime in the women's match, but a big day for the club. Their fan and family day today as well, bringing together their 2 football teams and of course their netball team as well. Let's go inside the GWS camp. Sam Lane, boundary side with CEO Dave Matthews and their star Steve Canilio.
Steve, you were at a fan day 7 years ago when the Giants were just created. What struck you about the difference 7 years on today?
I think just sheer numbers of it. I think when we first started, it was, as he said, the same spot. Wasn't as many people, and now with the introduction of AFLW and netball, it's just kids asking for all types of autographs from different athletes, so it's fantastic.
Dave, what about you? You were one of the pioneers and original champions within the AFL for women's footy. It's clearly changed the Giants internally. You have a women's team, but how's it changing the broader makeup of your club?
Oh, it's been brilliant, Sam. It's been one of the best things we've done in our short history. We're delighted with what it's done for us, both in terms of culture and in terms of fans and sponsors. The fans and sponsors really are jumping on board. They just see this as a great platform for women's sport.
Now, what about this? AFLW favourite giant?
Coruscant.
And?
Amanda Ferrugia, born and bred Western Sydney, great captain.
I said a two-word answer. What about favourite AFL CEO?
Gil? No, it's not. It's David Matthews.
Okay, we need to end this interview right now. Thanks, guys. Good luck in the second half.
Cheers, thank you.
Three Sydney-siders who started life elsewhere. Sam Lane, boundary side, with CEO Dave Matthews and Steve Canilio from the Giants. Brie Davey announced herself as the banner headline of the competition in night one back in 2017. She had 26 possessions and a goal as Carlton took out the first clash ever in front of a packed Icon Park. Unfortunately for her, round 2, 2018, meant an ACL and the end to her season. She's 3 games back into her comeback this afternoon, leading the Blues as skipper. She spoke about her recovery a little bit earlier on.
Wet conditions, is the ball starting to get a little bit heavy.
Into the 50 now, which way will it bounce? Davies hurt here, Carlton skipper.
And there's genuine concern from players of both sides for her here too.
Screaming out in pain. Might have been the left knee that's buckled. This is a major blow for the Blues.
It's been an interesting year. That's probably a good word for it. Definitely some ups and downs, obviously some really positive things to come out of it and a lot of learning for me personally. Of course, there's the sort of darker times as well where you think to yourself, oh, you know, how much longer is this going to take? Or push through those tedious rehab sessions and you sort of think, are they working? And for me, definitely about at roughly the 6-month mark, I started to see some real differences and started to realise how much the rehab has helped me along the way. So definitely some tough times, but I think I've grown and learned about myself from a personal point of view as well. Initially, for me, it was building that off-field stuff and really being a support network for the girls, obviously not just on-field, but more so obviously off the field. For me, that was probably the main area of growth. Family for me are my main distractions. My sisters and my brother, they're all hilarious, and so for me, especially when I was sort of couch-bound and I couldn't move too much, they were there to make me laugh and sort of pick me up. Yeah, I think for any naturally competitive person, it's tough to be, firstly, not be involved, but from an on-field perspective, but secondly, to watch your team sort of not pull the results we were hoping for, and at times, you know, the season was really hard for us. So as tough as it was, again, for me, it was just about getting around the girls off-field and trying to give that support and help build from there. Super excited about the group. We've got a lot of young girls coming through that are absolute guns, so that will add a lot of sort of fire to the mix. And I think, you know, under some new leadership as well, Half really wants us to play a really sort of attacking style of football, and hopefully, you know, Carlton fans will love that, and people who watch the AFL alike will love that as well. So I'm definitely looking to bring a really exciting brand of footy.
Well, my first memory of playing footy was actually when I was quite young. My brother and I used to kick the ball just back and forth to each other out in the street, and it stemmed from his love of AFL, and I don't know where it came from. We were very much a rugby league fanatical family because we lived in Western Sydney, and that's really where my first interest and exposure to the game came about. When I was about 14 or 15, I found out that my uncle and auntie, they'd acquired a Sydney Swans membership, and I thought, yeah, all right, I love sport, I'll come and check this game out. It wasn't like anything that I'd ever experienced before, and I thought, this game is unique, and I don't know what I've been missing out on, but it's obviously something pretty special. And then after the game, they kind of hinted to me that we might be able to go onto the ground to do something called kick-to-kick. I'd never been on a piece of grass that had so many seats around it before, and for something that's so simple and uncomplicated, it can create so many memories, particularly for kids. I think it's super important to have a Macca's kick-to-kick. Look, if you ask any kid what sporting match they went to when they were younger and which one had the clearest memory in their mind, I reckon they'd say an AFL game because of Macca's kick-to-kick.
The BBL final has arrived, and what a blockbuster matchup it will be. The very first Melbourne Derby final promises to be an absolute epic. Marvel Stadium will be a cauldron as the first ever Victorian team to become BBL champions is crowned. Will Melbourne be coloured green or red? We'll find out tomorrow afternoon. Welcome back here to Blacktown International Sports Park. AFL Women's Competition Round 3 action. It's Carlton by 20 points, and that lady wreaking havoc in the Carlton forward line, Abby Holmes and Phil Davis. Phil, if you had the Giants magnet board in front of you at half-time, what do you do to nullify their influence?
Yeah, for me the problem is how the ball's coming in. If you look at two ends of the ground, Carlton are playing with real speed and cleanliness, while the Giants are getting really held up. The only time they move the ball quickly, they score. So for me, they've got to get more out there. Their clearance numbers are really quite strong, but the one-on-ones that Vesio and Harris are getting is the real difference.
One team with a chance for their first victory of the season right now. The visitors are in the box seat. As Mullane goes hunting for that footy early. Gum off the ground. Del Pos over the top with the tackle pressure.
And just adding to what Phil said there, Nudge, their best midfielders in Gum, Eva and Parker, all on 7 disposals. So they need to get the ball in their hands a little bit more often.
Bree Moody's the one to start deep here in the Carlton forward line. The footy is a long way from her right now as Gum puts the Giants into attack. Bonner protected the drop zone. Harrington slaps it out of harm's way. Eva on her right needs to screw it around her body. Couldn't get the float going in the right direction. And the Giants have the opening score of the second half. Alicia Eva spent some time off the ground in the opening quarter. She's had 8 possessions so far this afternoon. Came into this one ranked 6th in the competition for kicks through the opening couple of rounds.
Courtney Gum has just added another 2 disposals in the first minute, so that's a good sign for the Giants.
Pound, Beeson, jump ball situation. Katie Loynes will take the footy. Player in front.
Beeson not happy with that one.
Loynes wants Harris, and rightly so. She miscued the length of the runway on that occasion as Brooke Walker has her kick smothered. On debut, the 23-year-old. She played footy last year with Carlton VFLW, introduced to Aussie rules after some time as an Australian Rugby Sevens rep. Grew up in New Zealand, moved to the Gold Coast in her early teens and spent the last few years in Sydney. Made the move to Aussie rules alongside Chloe Dalton, and they're both impressing so far as Parker gets pinballed with some contact. Wears it, shakes it off. It's just another day on the farm for Elise Parker. She'll take the free from just backwards of centre. What can the Giants get going early in the third? Beeson left it for Staunton. Gathers on the half volley. Shoveling hand pass, free kick for contact afterwards. Will go the way of Cora Staunton.
Yeah, Staunton deserved the free kick there, but she'll be disappointed that she hasn't taken that mark. She's dropped a couple in the first half, so really just needs to stick those hands and take those marks.
Works the angle and sinks the kick to her fellow Irish woman in Bono, who can regather. Slapped away from her hands by Van Dyke. Harrington hunting for it. Davey into the midfield as perhaps requested by many. Press Barkers. What vision and what a kick. Can open up the game here for Walker, who's looking good on debut. So Brooke Walker from half-back just plays some tempo. Work to do for Davey, the skipper, but she can work her way into space.
And that's good from Brooke Walker, just to have the composure to hit that short target in Bree Davey.
Taylor Harris dealt with Katie Loynes dealt with off the footy, and maybe a bit of frustration creeping in here.
Yeah, that was Tate Mackerel giving that one away, so she won't be pleased with that in her debut game.
Bree Davey with 8. Katie Loynes, her 4th touch, all kicks. That one's going to flirt with a line and all the way out. And Pepper Randall back to Darcy Vesio, so the switch in the matchups.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. And then you've got Taylor Harris about 20 metres from Darcy with nobody.
And a free kick. Randall has got no idea what it's for. I don't think anyone does here. Vesio will take full toll, open the game up, and Al Downey clever to work her way into space. And the Blues will have a look at a 7th.
Just the space creating the forward 50 from that free kick. Yeah, just able to run onto it, but I'm glad they don't umpire like that for me every time, Nigel. I've been in a fair bit of trouble.
Alison Downey, the 34-year-old's kicked 3 AFLW goals. Floats through her 4th, and the Blues have kicked 3 in a row. Phil Davis, our resident defensive expert. There's not much in that.
Yeah, I didn't see much of a hold there, but you know, I thought she did that really well, just making some contact, just trying to disturb Vesio, but you know, a free kick's a free kick, and she squared up beautifully and well finished.
As they've done all day, Carlton taking their chances, margin at a game high 25. Gum ineffective kick forward. Collier gathers. McKinnon had to get boot to ball. Trapped well by Edwards. Downey. Edwards wriggles the hips and emerges. Kick to the advantage of Moody. She's got Stevenson hot on her hammer. Couldn't gather. Goes again. Pushed off it. Well done, Stevenson. Gathers. That's a big ball to win for the Giants. Now they need to work it well by foot. Just a little bit too much on that kick for Hicks, and Davey intercepts. She's been really industrious in this quarter so far. Clever play, cued for options. Gets it in the form of her fellow leader and Katie Loynes. Now there's a sea of Giants back. Erin McKinnon's parked herself inside defensive 50 here. She won't impact this ball as Phoebe Monaghan, the late in for Emma Swanson, knocks it away from Nat Plain.
This is huge from Carlton, and Daniel Harford will be very pleased with the efforts put in by his side so far. But as we saw last week, they really only played a good quality 2.5 quarters, so they need to keep pushing on here.
Lost by 36 and 13 in their first 2 rounds of the Blues. Edwards. Moody couldn't trap it on the second bite. Stevenson wearing her closely. Pressure on Brush. Toes it forward. Edwards, she's composed. Where's the contact from Collier? Takes the mark. Having an excellent game so far for the Blues. This will be her 12th possession of the afternoon to equal Maddie Prespakis for the most on the ground.
And there she goes and just hands off to Prespakis.
Prespakis, clever, playing the 360-degree game. Goes back to Van Dyke. So just some composure and tempo here from the Blues. They lead by 25 points. They were in a similar situation last week against the Crows and coughed it up. Downey evaded. McKinnon, Farrugia. Couldn't quite get away from Loynes. No free kicks. Staunton. Strong work on Mullane. Big footy to win here for Hicks. Can work it forward. No one out the back here for the Giants. Bonner, it's following her. She's magnetic at the moment. Puts it forward for Bernardi. Needs the bounce. It'll sit and she'll put it through slightly below her knee. And that's a goal.
Well, it was the mark from Bonner, and then the ability of her to just kick the ball out in front of Bernardi running in. Not sure, Nudge, if that was a kick of the knee or a shin, but nonetheless, a goal for the Giants.
I guess the question is, where on the kneecap does it need to hit? If there's any kneecap in it, it might be out. So maybe a lucky one there for the Giants. Margin back to 19. And a little bit of deja vu perhaps here for the Blues. They led twice by 17 points against the Crows in the third last week. Downey double grabs. Time to regather, give it off to Pound, who's been a real general behind the ball for them so far. Monaghan bodied Hosking out of the way, and it's time to gather. Banana at forward. Horrible result. Davey can gather, and Loynes is down in back players. Georgie G hits up from Bree Davey. Second year Blue. Plenty of Giants. Staying down Moody. Can get away. Can she finish? No. Off the side of her boot and out. As we head boundary side to Giants skipper Amanda Farrugia. And Amanda, geez, that Christina Bernardi goal keeps you alive.
Yeah, look, Carlton had a fair bit of the possession in the first couple of quarters, but we've managed to peg it back a bit and seem to have momentum this early part of the third quarter, so hopefully we can maintain it and put a few more scores on the board.
Where have you seen Carlton's ascendancy over you so far?
Oh, I think it's not necessarily their ascendancy, it's just our inability to locate, and we've been a bit ill-disciplined, so hopefully we can sort those little things out and we'll be okay.
Thanks so much for your time, Amanda. We'll let you get back into the action.
Cheers, thank you.
Amanda Farrugia joining us boundary side, the Giants skipper. So Tate Mackerel, the debutant. Good contact on that footy distance-wise, but not the direction, unfortunately. So chance now for Dalton to put them back into attack. Moody tries to bust her way through. Mackerel, good pressure. Hosking again. The twin sisters have really put the blue collar on today. They've worked extremely hard on this occasion. It's Sarah Hosking. See Mackerel there with a hand pass, and what commitment that is.
We've mentioned it in the game previously, Nudge, but you know exactly what you're going to get from the Hosking twins on a week-to-week basis. And that is 100% effort and intensity at that footy.
We've only had 11 touches between them this afternoon, the two sisters, but you can't measure their effort in pure possessions.
And it's their defensive effort there, Nudge. You know, they're smothering, they're tackling. It might not come in the disposal numbers, particularly today, but their effort is certainly there nonetheless.
Hold from the contest, and Maddie Prespakis will get the 50 and a shot at her third goal of the afternoon.
That was very crafty there by Bree Davey. She knew the free kick wasn't for her, but she called for the ball and Parker unfortunately didn't see who the free kick was and threw it to Davey accidentally, and that's 50 metres every day of the week.
Kicked 2 goals in the second quarter, Maddie Prespakis. 1 last week against the Crows. This for her 3rd. She's a footballer going places in this competition, Maddie Prespakis.
14 disposals for Maddie Prespakis, 3 goals straight from your midfielder. Daniel Harford will be a very happy coach, but what's so exciting about Prespakis is she's a first-year player, and to think, looking at her performances, she's one of the elite midfielders of the competition already.
3 of the Blues, 8 so far. Trying to match motors with her is Elise Parker, who was picked 12 last year in the draft. Works it forward. Barclay has to wear the contact from guess who, Prespakis. And hopefully this is the entree to a great day and night of NAB AFL women's competition football. Freo and Collingwood immediately after this game as the Dockers look to win their 3rd straight game to start the reign of Trent Cooper. Collingwood desperately looking to try and win a game inside the first 4 rounds of the season for the first time. And well, Chloe Dalton was trying to do the right thing and locate the defender. Unfortunately, in doing so, she came into that protected area. And now a chance for the other young gun in the midfield, Elise Parker, to try and cancel out Maddie Prespakis' 3rd and bring the margin back within 19 points. For her first AFLW goal, was a tentative approach.
Yes.
Hosking lets her know all about it.
She just dabbed at that one nudge. The distance definitely wasn't an issue, but she just sat back and didn't follow through.
Harrington. Pound, mark or free kick won't matter. Collier trying to run her down. So this composed Carlton enjoying the spoils on their first visit to Blacktown. Collier did well to work the mark, but again, it's working the way of the Blues. Pound retreats to Harrington, sets them up from the back. They work the defensive arc and now get the release play. Van Dyke, they've got the overlap here. Van Dyke will put it to Prespakis in a truckload of space. Eva desperately trying to run down her protege, can't do so. Edwards, she's got Walker darting forward for her. Kick smothered, sits up. Walker couldn't gather, coming through desperately Hetherington. Now it's Gum for Beeson. Good follow-up from Walker. Almost tried to strip her of the ball in the end. And see the work of these 2 rugby sevens girls, Phil. They bring some unique skills, agility, already the ability to kick, and really good handling as well.
Yeah, just their cleanliness and change of pace are the 2 things that have stood out to me so far. They break lines and get the ball over the back and give the 4 line of Carlton so much space.
We saw there from Brooke Walker as well, the ability to track that target when you're tackling. McKinnon, 2-hander. Beeson continues to do it tough in midfield. Staunton has to get involved here for the Giants. Back to Collier, not much forward, it's a one-on-one. It's Bonner, and she's managed to get away from Pound. Marks wants to move it. Her partner in crime, Bernardi, into space for a second of the term. No doubts about that one. She's got 2, and the Giants stay alive. One of the better build-ups of the afternoon for GWS. She's still learning the rules of the game, but you cannot teach this sort of instinct, Abby Holmes.
You cannot. She saw over her shoulder that Bernardi was free. Bernardi had some pressure, but managed to get the footy on the boot straight through for a goal. That combination is proving to be very important up forward for the Giants.
An electric contest. A big 3 minutes of footy left in this 3rd quarter here as both these teams fight for their first victory of the season in Conference B. Downey looking for Loynes. Parker rode her into the turf. Just the momentum took her down. One way you just got to try and roll the tackle, but she was going nowhere else but the back of Katie Loynes. Kicked a goal last week after 18 touches in round 1. Kick slides towards Harris, splits the pack and creates some carnage. Well done, Stevenson. Recovers after having a Taylor Harris knee in her back as Beeson's wriggled to the turf by Georgia G.
She has been a little bit quieter in this 3rd term, Taylor Harris, but she's creating a contest as we just saw then. So as a coach, you'd be pleased to see that she's making a contest, getting the ball to ground.
Loynes and Mullane share it. Thrown virtually in the end by Loynes and Seen. So a chance for the Giants to try and set things up from half-back here. Beeson, this will be her 14th possession to lead the Giants. It's off the line, it hangs for Hicks. She can gather and get away from a couple of Blues. Has to be clever by foot and just kicked it inside. Pound was caught napping on Collier, but the kick tracked her.
Yeah, it was the right idea there by Hicks, but unfortunately execution went straight into the hands of the Carlton defender.
Pound's 8th touch is a good one, and Katie Loynes is playing a bit of a hit-up option in this quarter through half forward. The 4th mark. Harris is tracking deep to this one. Will she get a flight at it? It's over her head. She tracks back. Staying down was Walker. Tumbling kick forward at the feet of Bennett. To Hetherington. Into space. Dangerous kick across 50, but Bernardi working a long way from home. Already got 2 goals in this term. Can she start the chain towards another one? Bodied off it was Bonner. Harrington will have another Irish win for company in the form of Staunton. Big tackle. They need to stop it here. Blues out of harm's way through Jess Hosking. Got the option in board of Davey. She had to stretch. She's the closest play to the goal the Blues are defending here. And tricky ball for Brazzali. Giants need to stop here. Brazzali toes it to the line and paddles. And that's all sorts of deliberate. It's not found.
I was with you on that one, Nudge. She knew that she had no support running with her, Brazzali.
Lauren Brazzali escapes to the sanctuary of the bench.
She did, the safety of the boundary line.
Won't be committed for that crime. So, under a minute to play. It's been 2 goals apiece in this quarter after the Blues led by 20 points at half-time. Bernardi taken the ground by Jess Edwards. If you're just joining us, Maddie Pressbarkis with 3 goals. Taylor Harris kicked a goal in each of the opening half terms. Mullane, handball into space. Coming through Bentley. Went the fend off and was stripped. Giants have got to try and beat the clock. Bernardi took the advantage when there wasn't any at all. Stevens. Harris. Over the top and athletic. Heavy landing on that shoulder. Stevenson doing really well in defence at the moment for the Giants. Bennett's kick to a 2-on-1 and advantage. Through the hands of Collier. Staunton tracks it. Handball into some space for Collier. Needs to get boot to ball. Excellent from Pound. Having a massive day in defence. Davey needs to be steady. They're 1 possession away from reaching the bell here. Van Dijk, they'll get it there. Pressbarkis. It's plain, in fact.
They look very similar though, Nudge. I'll give you that one.
Carlton keep the Giants at arm's length. 2 goals apiece in the quarter. The Giants win the term, but they've got it all to do if they're going to chase down Carlton, who are a quarter away from their first win of the NAB AFL Women's Competition for 2019. At 3/4 time, it's Carlton by 3 goals.
Our Aussies have taken the world by storm, but they're just getting started. The World Cup winners and Women's Big Bash heroes are back, and the old enemy are in their sights again. Yeah! The 3-match one-day series against New Zealand begins Friday, February 22 at the Wacker in Perth, and you'll see it all live and free on 7/2.
Possibly the most entertaining game of 2019 so far in AFLW. Gab Pound kicking her first goal for 2 years for the Blues, and GWS lost Alicia Eva for a period of the opening quarter with that hit. She's been hindered since. It was Carlton by 7 points at the opening change. Maddie Pressbarkis was rocking and rolling in the second term. She kicked 2 goals, but how is this from Yvonne Bonner, the Irish woman, in just her 3rd AFLW game to keep the Giants in it? The Blues extended the margin. They led by 20 points at the half. Into the 3rd term was 2 goals apiece, and it was exciting work from the Giants to get out the back of Carlton for a rare time today. Maybe in a questionable one off the kneecap of Christina Bernardi, who kicked 2 for the term, but it was Maddie Pressbarkis with her 3rd that just keeps Carlton at arm's length from GWS, and at 3/4 time, it's the Blues by 18 points, and Maddie Pressbarkis, she was a NAB Rising Star nominee last week with 15 touches and 3 goals this afternoon.
It's not a bad input from your midfield, is it, Nudge?
Outstanding work. Now let's have a look at Taylor Harris. She copped a heavy hit late in the term as well. We see their possessions, plus 21 in possessions after Carlton were belted in that stat throughout the first couple of weeks of the competition. The inside 50s tell a tale there, 29 inside 50s to 15. Taylor Harris, 2 goals, 1, 7 touches, 4 marks so far this afternoon. But Abby, she was involved in a really heavy collision as we see her cascade her way through over the top of Louise Stevenson, and then, I guess, tunnelled in some respects by Walker.
And you know what? That's exactly what you're going to see from Taylor Harris, though. Leaping at the ball, having a crack at everything in the air. But we know that she missed the game last week with that shoulder, so hopefully nothing to worry about there.
Sam Lane, you had eyes on the Blues huddle, and Taylor Harris was getting some attention.
Yeah, suspected she would be pointing at her shoulder, actually, given that was the reason that she was the late withdrawal last week. But Taylor went to the physio and actually started pointing towards her glute region. Then she got some work on her lower back for probably a couple of minutes, guys. So it was a bit of work, but I just delved into the camp, then asked for an official word. They said she is absolutely fine. There is nothing to see here. So make of that what you will.
Thanks, Sam. We see Daniel Harford almost saying thank you to Maddie Prespakis for the performance she's done so far. Phil, we saw some footage of Alan McConnell, who's still got the Giants players in a huddle, imploring them that their season's on the line here. What would his message be? You spoke about him being controlled, but what's in that bag of tricks from the Wily Fox?
Yeah, I think what he'd be talking about is that, in each of the 3 quarters, they've had a 10-minute dominant patch. So if they're going to have that, they need it for the first 10 minutes of this quarter. If we drift into the 10-minute mark of the last quarter and the score is the same, it's basically game over. So they need a strong start. They've shown that they're capable, but they need to go fast and fast early.
The inside 50 stat there, 29 to 15, it does tell a tale that from just 15 entries, they've had 9 scoring shots.
Well, that's the thing, is that they're definitely capable and quite potent when it gets in there, but, to be always down double in inside 50s, you're not going to win many games from there. And, that's probably one of the main reasons they're down by 3 goals. But, they've shown that 3 goals is very surmountable very quickly if they can get it in, especially from a centre bounce deep quickly.
He's been very happy with their effort and the energy of the team across the first couple of weeks, despite the fact they've had losses, but spoke about the need for conversion to improve and uncontested ball to improve. The conversions there, they just haven't had the game on the outside.
Yeah, unlike the last 2 weeks, it's probably the inverse problem tonight.
So here we go, one of these teams to walk away with their first win of the NAB AFL Women's season for 2019. Sarah Hosking, the clearance for the Blues. Can they get the dream start? Faruja with Loins following her. Good pressure from Vesio. Stevenson, she stripped. And the Blues are playing the style of footy we saw them walk out with in the opening 30 seconds of the first quarter.
And that's what's so exciting and what we asked for from Carlton today. But what's also really impressed me is that all Carlton new players and their first gamer in Walker are impacting it at this contest.
Sarah Hosking bought time with a Vesio bump. There's 2 Giants down, maybe a clash of heads. Gum and Elise Parker just off to the right of screen there, and Elise Parker is calling for some help from the Giants trainers, and this will probably hold up play until Courtney Gum's either back to her feet or off the ground and replaced. So a chance for the Giants to set up at this stoppage. It's all important because the goal here puts them out of it. It might be a big cork for Courtney Gum. They're virtually a player down at this contest. Hosking looking to take full advantage. McKinnon desperate. Prespakis. Floating ball. Harris! He just felt like it was working its way towards her as we see Gum coming off.
I think we're going to hear a lot of that over the next few years. Nudge Prespakis to Harris.
Taylor Harris, 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the last, and the ideal start to the last for the Blues. Taylor Harris led the league in contested marks in season 1. She was ranked 2nd in that stat in season 2, and she's brought her best to Blacktown today, Abby Holmes.
She has, missing from this lineup last week against Adelaide, slotting straight back in today and doing what she does best, both in the air and at ground level.
So Prespakis 3, Harris 3, and Carlton have their highest score in AFLW so far, surpassing the 8-6-54 they kicked against the Dogs. Round 5, 2017 in Icon Park. Courtney Gum on the bench. There's not much you can really do for a cork, Phil. It's either there or you can work your way through it.
Yeah, you just make that decision very on how much you're actually capable of doing.
Davey to G, they spread from the stoppage again. They are connecting the dots, the Blues. Harris wastes no time. Vesio rushing towards it, gets involved, gathers. Prespakis for a 4th, surely not.
Prespakis, she's going to be a bigger name than Paddy Cripps down in Carlton very soon if she keeps performing the way that she is.
Dangerous ball in from the Giants. Loins sweating on it. Fumbling in defence was Parker. She's luckily going to escape with a free kick for in the back, and they've just got to go. Straight up the middle of the ground, Downey presents. McKinnon stayed down, but Van Dijk's worked very well in defence and goes again. Two really strong tackles from Jade Van Dyke. She was picked 21 in last year's draft, 16 touches last week, won the Debbie Lee medal for the VFLW Rising Star last season after being part of Hawthorn's VFLW flag. Davey couldn't gather the footy. Strong tackling work again from Jade Van Dyke, who is originally from Townsville, but footy journey going through Churnside Park in Melbourne's outer east. Courtney Gum about to have some ice applied. It looks at downstairs as Parker bodies G out of the way. And little Georgia G, she can punch above her weight better than anyone.
She's been really impressive today, Nudge. 11 touches, but it's her speed through the midfield, and she's had some excellent clearances for the Blues today. Very exciting prospect.
Free kick to Beeson, takes full advantage. Del Pos in plenty of space. Bernardi tried to climb the ladder, might go off the ground, just couldn't quite toe it the right way. The best possible result is it skids its way into the behind post for a throw-in.
Probably the best piece of play we've seen for the Giants to their ball move from back half forward. Great selfless lead by Eva to get the space out for Brush, and that run and carry into a deep one-on-one, they get a forward 50 stoppage.
Rare space for Jess Del Pos. Just 6 touches today, averaging 15 through the first couple of rounds. Downey without an opponent. Put it into the path of Eva through the hands of Mullane. Barclay needs to gather this. Will work her way back inside. Parker onto her favoured left. Can't work her way through the contest. Good purchase on the kick, but the way she was slung in the tackle, that was always heading out.
And that's that Carlton pressure that they've been so impressive with in their defensive half today. Shot on goal from GWS, but off target due to that tackle pressure.
Hosking, clearing ball. Davey bullocks, kicks the smaller, younger opponent out of the way. Seen her roam up the ground a bit more after playing most of the first couple of weeks up forward. Vesio, drawn closely by Randall. Vesio trying to gather it, spun in the tackle. Boss just couldn't gather. Randall will come off for a spell, and Darcy Vesio might get a little bit of respite from Pepper Randall, who's had her work cut out in defence today. Time on Vesio, who was hot early, and then she was given the unenviable task of trying to put out the Taylor Harris bushfire, which has continued to rage. She's kicked 3 this afternoon. Loins, won't she enjoy a win? Tumbling kick forward through the hands of Moody into Stevenson, who plays on immediately as the Giants have to. Stevens over the top, denies Bernardi, gets the favourable bounce, just tried to punch it forward for Bonner. Stevens, diving hand pass, clever little chip kick from Downey. At least it's going to make Bennett's work for it. Back to Brush. Eva, desperately looking for options. Forced to go wide. Back to Bennett's. Allow it to bounce. Shimmies her way through Downey. Clever play. Kick will come off the line. Bonner, strong hands. Van Dyke with the late fist. Staunton the crumb. Options inboard. Gum reinvented. Can't finish on the right. And you see the heavily taped left quad.
To me, one of the biggest differences today is the tackling. Carlton have been able to tackle and pin the ball in, while when the Giants have tackled, Carlton got the ball on the outside and continue to play offence.
So ball just bounced its way into the bottom of that right behind post. So thrown in as we see the new 10-metre rule, and no Giant ruckman there. Maybe a tactic. Gum, what can she do on the right? Works it forward. Excellent in flight from both Pound and Stevens. As good as their attack's been, it's been an equally cohesive defence. Despite the fact the Giants have kicked the 5-4, there's been some good work to neutralise some of those opportunities, particularly Karen Harrington's work in the opening half. Stevenson in the ruck for the Giants. Beeson trapped by Brazzali. Freo and Collingwood to follow our match from Fremantle Oval. The Dockers looking to continue their hot start to the season. Collingwood looking to get onto the board for the first time. Through the legs of Staunton. Stevenson wrestled to the turf by Harrington. Free kick will go the way of the Giant. Maybe hold a little bit too long from Karen Harrington, who spent her winter back playing basketball. She won a Big V title with Sunbury as Stevenson hits up Mackerel. And wouldn't this be a story of Tate Mackerel, who's an excellent kick, can get the journey and kick her first AFLW goal.
Well, I think the first thing that Phil Davis said to us when he walked upstairs today was, did you see that video about Tate Mackerel making her debut? And you got a little bit emotional there, didn't you, Phil? But really exciting if she can slot this one through for her first goal of AFLW football.
19-year-old from Port Broughton. It just slews off the right boot, hands to it. Best possible result outside of a goal for the Giants here. Tate Mackerel elected to go and play Essendon VFLW in the 2018 winter, which was a common path for a lot of the GWS players who went to play their footy in Victoria in the winter last year and clearly benefited from it. Gum, Elaine and Hosking bumped into each other, and a bit too much of that from Hicks, and she was tackled. And Amelia Mullane, who crossed from Collingwood in the off-season through a trade, almost a chance to sing the old Dark Navy Blues for the first time. Through all sorts of hands, Mackerel could gather, off to Eva, tackled by Plain. Press-Parker's had her feet taken out and then thudded to the turf. Carlton players rightly rushed to her, both a sense of concern for her welfare, but she'll shake it off and she's fine. 17 touches a game high to go with 3 goals won. Courtney Gum's having the best period of her afternoon so far, after the worst bit came through that significant cork on her left quad. Let's head boundary side to Sam Lane. Giants fan day here today, and they've stuck around for a pretty good game of footy.
We have a good result crowd-wise. It's 3,823. That is the biggest since the first game here in season 1 of AFLW, and this is the 4th game since then. It's a great vibe down here. Lots of families and lots of orange.
Thanks, Sam. Great conditions, it has to be said as well, and that's reflected in the style of game we've seen today as Edwards attacks the centre of the ground. Brush comes to meet it, might have to gather. G again tackles, strips her. Beeson had an option in Bonner, goes longer. High fly came from Barclay. Handballs over her head in hope. Pound's just going to have to cop the contact, and that she does. So just the 1 goal in this quarter to Taylor Harris. 90 seconds in. Giants just haven't been able to get themselves going. They got one late in the quarter at the 14-minute mark from Christina Bernardi that brought the margin back to 18 points at 3/4 time, but Carlton have steadied here, turned it into a bit of a scrap after it's been a really open game. Stevenson picks it up, tumbles it forward. Pound sees it to the line. Be close to one of the best of Louise Stevenson's 8 AFLW games we've seen so far, Abby.
Yeah, you're exactly right there, Nudge, and here she is with another opportunity.
Excellent tackle on Harrington. Will she be rewarded? No, despite the best appeals possible. It's like a fielder at bat pad appealing for a nick. Shareva off for a spell. Louise Stevenson spent some time playing with both Richmond VFLW last winter and also up here with Sydney Uni, AFL Sydney women's competition. Beeson through the hands of Bennett's. A bit of an afternoon of what-ifs for the Giants. Stevenson again to Staunton, who's afforded no space whatsoever. They've done really well to shut down Cora Staunton, who looked very dangerous through that second quarter when she hit the scoreboard, Abby.
Yeah, she has. Very dominant early, but the Carlton defence have been able to nullify her impact from half-time.
Sparkers with a clever kick to exit 50. Most of the players on the ground in the vicinity of this ball here. Bentley can't get free of, or Brazali, in fact, can't get free of the Bernardi tackle. So Cora Staunton, 6 possessions this afternoon, just the 1 inside 50. She led the competition in that stat after the opening couple of rounds. Bernardi gathers, works its way fortuitously and unexpectedly to Stevenson. Mackerel commits. Clever handball through a keyhole, only as far as Pound. Gathers off to Loynes. Wants to find some yardage by foot. She'll do so to Harris, who wants body and takes body. And that might be going in the book.
Yeah, you would think so, Nudge. The ball had just gone past her, eyes only for Pepper Randall, as we can see right there. So you would think
we don't want to be
looked at.
We don't want to try and do Michael Christian's job for him, but anytime you're electing to go man rather than ball, it often doesn't look good come Monday.
But good news is Pepper Randall was fine, able to take that kick.
Barclay tackled to the line, and eventually that ball works its way out. Pepper Randall had an ankle injury that meant she missed all of her season with Melbourne. She was then, of course, traded to the Giants, and excellent for them last year, making the All-Australian squad. She's had a really hard day at the office. She's earned her keep, Pepper Randall, with Taylor Harris and Darcy Vesio to look after. Davey Best of the 3 games of the season we've seen from her on her return. Tricky bounce for Randall, who had a look in the rearview mirror and saw Harris coming. Now Tompkins trying to repay the favour, stops her in her tracks. Monaghan couldn't find a fist on that footy. She was slung to the turf. Advantage will go the way of the Giants. What advantage? Here's an opportunity now. Dalton accelerates, couldn't gather, goes back now to Plain. Kick works it off the side of her boot. Walker on debut. Can she get the 10th and maybe one on debut? She might turn provider. She wedges one forward. Georgia G on the stretch. Well, if ever a player's deserved a goal after the effort she's done around the footy today, it's little Georgia G at 156 centimetres, at 158 centimetres that deserves it.
She is slight in stature, isn't she, Nudge? But the effort that she puts out on a weekly basis is second to none. Fantastic awareness there by Brooke Walker on debut to kick it into space of Georgia G.
Her only AFLW goal, round 6 against the D's last year. She's going to get one and a win for the Blues.
And here's that kick we're talking about from Brooke Walker. It was a bit up in the air, but it was timed perfectly to allow Georgia G the opportunity to push hard, get at the fall of the footy, take a mark and kick a goal. Brilliant work by Carlton.
Caps the day beautifully for the Blues. They've asked for a response and they've got one from all 21 players. Mackerel forward for Bonner has been excellent for the Giants. She had Cora Staunton calling for the ball, but Yvonne Bonner well and truly in range from what we've seen from her via the set shot so far. Kicked a goal, a brilliant snap in the opposite pocket in the second quarter to this end. Skies the set shot to the line, it's touched. Margin just back inside 5 goals. So great start to our Saturday of NAB AFL Women's Competition football. Fremantle and Collingwood from Fremantle Oval to follow the conclusion of this match. And it's got its work cut out to match this one with efforts like that from Bree Davey. Genuine captain's game this afternoon from the Blues leader. Into space for Press-Parkes. Her 20th touch, 3 goals to go with it as well. G, handball over the top. Dalton, tackled to the turf, a rarity this afternoon. G, butters up, pushes it forward. It's been a courageous effort from Gum to play the game out. And that was a clumsy effort. Rare error from Dalton just to go in a little bit high on Renee Tompkins.
I think we can safely say, Nudge, that Carlton have played 4 quarters today. There's no doubt about it. Some great footy played, and they'll want to take this into Geelong next week down at the Cattery.
Press-Parkes might as well take the Sharon back to Melbourne with her. What a game she's had. She's down again. Mullane put under siege by Harrington. Great tackling work to finish her debut off from Mackerel. The Blues players aren't happy about the attention she was paid. It's been a fiery game, it has to be said. It almost seems to be the theme of the Giants season. They make you earn it. Take Mackerel. Well-deserved round of applause. Her AFLW debut, a pretty good one to be 11th touch. She's got a place in this Giants team without a doubt. But Carlton and that lady, Maddie Press-Parkes, that lady, Taylor Harris, power them to a 29-point drought-breaking win.
It means a lot for this football club, doesn't it?
Taylor Harris, that has been more than a year coming. Is it a mix of joy and relief?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've worked really hard in the off-season, and we knew in the first 2 rounds that we could produce this. And I suppose it was just being persistent and sticking with the process, and we got the reward. We've worked harder than we ever have, and I think we deserve it, so it's good.
Tell us a bit about your build-up. A late withdrawal last week. You had an injection. You can't even tell which shoulder it is, but you're getting work on your glutes at 3/4 time.
Yeah, well, I decided to throw myself in the air and land on my butt pretty hard. So I think, yeah, I got no issues, but just being a big sook.
quote-unquote no issues. Tell us about the clash with Pepper Randall that was in the last term. What were you thinking?
Yeah, I think it was one of those when you're coming together and then you're kind of like calculating in your head, where can I get her in the exact spot? And I suppose as we came together, being a tall person, these things happen. But obviously immediately, like, I know Pepper, so I'm not going to, why would I ever do that? So clearly not intentional, but I just hope she's okay. I hope it's not, because like, obviously I know footy, I know that probably looks bad, and I'm just hoping that it wasn't, for her sake, health-wise, and then obviously my sake.
Well, for now, you can just enjoy the win, so congratulations and well done.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks to Taylor Harris, and that is exactly the point. For now, enjoy the win. Worry about that stuff, I think, come Sunday or Monday. But look at the emotion right now amongst this Carlton playing group. 53 weeks, 372 days, but it's been worth the wait. Abby Holmes, Phil Davis, I think that's the best we've seen from Carlton in their time in the league.
I absolutely agree with you, and what a performance for them. Their highest goal-kicking tally scored today, and you can see it in their faces. They're absolutely loving this win, and a long time in the making. And
a player who has just joined the competition,
she's
and what a statement she's making. 3 games in. Last week, the NAB Rising Star nominee. Today, 21 touches, 3 goals. Maddie Prespakis with Sam Lane.
Maddie, it is so great to meet you in footy. You seem so natural and so calm. What's really happening on the inside?
Oh, I mean, I'm probably a bit emotional at the moment. I mean, I've always dreamt of playing AFL, and I mean, I just won my first AFL game with the girls, and I couldn't be any prouder to be as a Carlton footballer right now. And I think what we're creating at the moment, we've worked so hard to do it, and I mean, yeah, all our hard work's paying off, and what we're doing is so exciting, and yeah, I love being a part of this group.
The emotion is beautiful. Tell us about, everyone's raving about you. Who's looking after you at the club, and who's been a real influence on you as you make your big steps into this competition?
I mean, obviously my family, but then they're always been there, and I know they're at home watching me, and they're probably watching me right now, so big thanks to them. But I mean, the girls have been so good to me walking into the club, and I mean, I always hang out with Georgia G, and the girls try to split us up, but I mean, I latch on to every single girl. I think I can learn something different off all of them, and I'm just so excited. I love them.
What does the rest of this season hold? As you said, it's your first win in AFLW, first win for the Navy Blues, but what can this team do?
I think it's the unknown, really. We don't know just yet what we can actually do, and I mean, we're going step by step, and we're really showing it, and today just a little bit of hard work paid off, and yeah, I'm so excited.
Something we're learning about footy, we're getting in big trouble here. Your team is waiting for you, so go and enjoy the song, and thank you. We're loving watching you.
Thank you.
Well done, Maddie.
Thanks to Sam Lane. Maddie Prespakis and the Blues song. It's been a long time coming, but it'll be worth the wait after this break.
If I had one more day to wish, if I had one more day to be better than I could have ever been. If I had one more day to wish, if I had one more day, I could be better, but baby, oh, it's Saturday night.
Well, it's been that long since the Blues had a win that it's not surprising that the inner circle almost outweighed the outer circle in terms of numbers. But They celebrate, and rightly so, Carlton, the performance of their season, maybe the performance of their time in the NAB AFL Women's Competition. A rousing 29-point win. They led every change by 7 at quarter time, 20 at the half, 3 goals at three-quarter time, and they kicked the only 2 goals in the final quarter. Maddie Press-Barker, simply electric. 21 possessions and 3 goals. Taylor Harris was the presence in the game up forward. She also kicked 3. The Giants, pretty much the story of the day for them lies with the industrious work of Beck Beeson and also Yvonne Bonner's work forward. But Abby Holmes, Phil Davis in special comments this afternoon. It was a joy to sit back and watch Carlton execute what they did. Their dominance told in the inside 50 count.
Yeah, it really was. And Maddie Press-Barker, what a star. 21 today, 22 last week. And she's kicking the goals as well, but I was keeping a really close eye on her game today, and I don't understand how she manages to find the space. You would think that Eva, Gum and Hicks would have worn her a little bit closely, but that's kudos to Maddie Press-Barker for really being able to find that space.
Phil, let's have a look at Maddie Press-Barker this afternoon in a little bit closer detail, because it was something to behold. And in your time at the GWS Giants, you've been around a lot of young talent that's come in and had immediate impact, but we're seeing the microscope put on players like this in AFLW, maybe to an even high degree, but she may have come into the Carlton side and become its best player 3 games in.
Yeah, which is crazy to think, isn't it? But she's so clean. And that's what I think that stood out for me today, was that below her knees, she was very clean, didn't fumble, but then her kicking execution was also so impressive. 3 goals won, but took every opportunity she had. But the lack of fumbling gives you more time. It doesn't matter what grade you play. If you've got time, you'll make good decisions, especially with a skill level like she does. And she's an exciting player. Only 18, looks about 15, but plays like a 25-year-old.
And the other element that you add to her skill set is what's under the hood in terms of competitiveness. She's a beast around the contest. She hates to be beaten, and we saw that come out at halftime last week when Andy Marr had to come in and appease her and take away from the Adelaide players. But her commitment to the contest today, you could not expect that from an 18-year-old player.
Yeah, I guess before I spoke about the the periphery stuff, the skill execution, but that inane sense to want to compete and do the hard things, it makes all the great play. Look at all the very good players that played for hundreds of years. The competitiveness is the cornerstone of their game. So she's got that, yet on top of a bit of the composure plus the skill execution, and obviously a very humble girl as well. Her interview after the game was fantastic too.
Abby Holmes, Maddie Press-Barker was the quantity. Taylor Harris was the quality today up forward. What she did for the contest in the first half for Carlton, after being out last week with a shoulder injury, the way she straightened them up, the way she gave them a target up forward, the way she meant that the other GWS defenders had to scramble. If it wasn't her doing it, it was Darcy Vesio at ground level. She just added a completely different dimension to the Carlton forward half.
And she's back to her best, isn't she, Nudge? They certainly missed her in that side last week against Adelaide, but comes back in today, 3 goals won. And not only was she good in front of goal, but it's contests like that you want to see from your high-flying forward. Yes, she didn't mark the ball, but she brings it to ground and gives her midfielders and her other forwards the opportunity to kick goals. So not only did she have a fantastic game, but she brings others into the contest too.
Contact that she eloquently described as contact to her butt to Sam Lane after the match, but she may have something to answer for on Monday night for all the good work she did this afternoon. We saw that hit on Pepper Randall late in the contest as well. There might be something to come out of that.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Nudge, and it's interesting to see on the replay her eyes, because she's clearly looking at Pepper Randall and not the footy. The football had gone past her. So good news is that Pepper Randall was fine. She got up and took the kick, but yeah, I think there might be something to look at there.
Daniel Harford addressing a very, very happy Carlton throng downstairs here at Blacktown International Sports Park. Phil Davis, thanks so much for your time off the back of the Giants fan day today. Got some footy to look forward to, and just 6 sleeps AFLX Friday night. You're going to be part of Jack Revolt's Rampage team.
Yeah, it's come around very quickly. I think it's going to be a very exciting thing. Hopefully, we get a big turnout there at Marvel Stadium, but it should be fast, it should be quick. There'll be a lot of good players floating around, and it'll be nice to be on Jack's team rather than playing against him.
Thanks again for your insights today. Absolutely fantastic, and good luck for the rest of the season.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Phil Davis joining us in special comments this afternoon. We've got Fremantle and Collingwood to come after this. It looks like conditions are absolutely pristine across the Nullarbor. The Dockers looking to grab their 3rd win of the season. Wayne Seekman's Pies looking to get their way off the mark for 2019. You'll see that next. We'll be back here at Blacktown very shortly to wrap things up. Looking forward to heading west very shortly. Fremantle and Collingwood to complete the Saturday action of round 3 in the NAB AFL Women's Competition. As we said, Dockers looking to get to a 3-0 record in the season. The Pies trying to avoid going 0-3. Abby Holmes, it is remarkable to take a look at the ladder at the midpoint of round 3. We came in today thinking, well, if the Giants could win by a couple of goals, they might work their way to the top of Conference B. It's anything but. Carlton, remarkably, with still a couple of games to go, admittedly, that will impact the Conference B ladder, sit on top tonight. Their percentage has improved by 31% this afternoon. They're still minus 20 in the for and against, but they head to Geelong next Saturday to GMHBA Stadium to take on the Cats, full of confidence and sitting maybe in the finals race.
Yeah, they do. Warranted, few games to come, but sitting pretty on top. And on the flip side, GWS are on the bottom of the Conference B ladder, and you know, the Giants were touted to be a premiership favourite early, so they've got a lot of work to do moving forward.
Yeah, remarkable to think they defeated the Bulldogs at Manuka Oval in round 6 last year. Looked like they were en route perhaps to a grand final. Lost here to Brisbane. They've lost their last 4 games now, so a lot of work for Alan McConnell's squad to turn things around. Very different story in the opposition camp this afternoon. Daniel Harford's had a very successful playing career, of course, with Hawthorn and the Blues. He's also coached with great esteem at local level in Melbourne with both Baldwin and St Kevin's, leading them to premierships. Today he took the Carlton AFLW team to their first win in charge. He's downstairs with Sam Lane.
Well, Daniel Harford, you've had a lot of experiences in football. This is the first time that you've ever had an experience coaching an AFLW side and coaching it to a win. What's running through your veins?
It's much better than losing, Sam. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. I'm just really pleased for the girls because there's been a lot of pressure on this footy club and these girls through the last 12 months. And what we've done is come in and change a lot of our systems from a footy perspective and even just the program perspective. So to see them get reward for effort is really important. You've got to have that carrot dangled in front of you and get a bite of the carrot every now and then. And they got that bite today. So I'm just really pleased for them. We were ordinary, apart from the first quarter against the Kangas in round 1. We played 2.5, nearly 3 quarters of really good footy against Adelaide last week. And I thought dominated that game to that point. We got overrun. And today we put it together for 4, and that's the layers of the game. We can't expect to be awesome first up. It's going to come in some time. So I'm just really pleased that they've got that experience now of the win, and they can start to just feel good about themselves and hope what's going forward is going to be great.
I was lucky enough to hear you just address the team in private. What would you be happy to share of what you really impressed on them, given what they've done and how hard they've worked?
Yeah, a bit like I was saying that the system's changed so much, and there's going to be pressure on them to perform, and there's been some ebbs and flows in the journey so far, and I just want them to know that what we do actually can work if we stick to the plan, and you can fall back in old habits under pressure really easily, and that's what I think we've done in the first couple of weeks. But today we showed each other, we trusted each other and we trusted our system and got the outcome that we wanted. So I think that's the most important part for me, that they see the result, they see what can happen when we do what we do.
Now, is there someone in the wider team that you're really particularly happy for?
No, I think that everyone. I think the president's here. He's pumped. I mean, he's been under pressure from a men's and women's perspective for the last 12 months, and he's such a big supporter of us. Kane Little, the CEO's in here, and he gave me the biggest bear hug I've had in a while. So to see the hierarchy of the footy club really supporting what we're doing and investing in what we're doing is such a pleasing thing from my perspective. So, you know, the people that put their names on the line to get this up and running and put all the work in to make it happen, I'm not just pleased for them.
Now, last one, is coaching fun when you win? I mean, you've lost your hair already and you are a little bit grey, if you don't mind me saying, but is it fun when you win?
It's the George Clooney look I'm going for with the beard. I think you see that's right, Sam. Coaching's great, full stop. Coaching's a great challenge. That's why I love it. And I love coaching the girls because they want to learn. And as a coach, that's all you ever want, to have the people you're working with listen to you and want to learn. So I love it. I've loved it even the last couple of weeks when we've been ordinary and then we were nearly good and today we were good. So it doesn't really matter. It's much better when you win, don't get me wrong. But I love the journey and hopefully we can take it somewhere.
Back at the Blues and back on the winners board. Daniel, congratulations.
Nice to be there. Thank you, Sam.
Well, George Clooney might be a little bit of a stretch, Abby, but I think you can say what you like after a win like that. He'd be so proud of his team, 29-point victors. Let's have a look at the other side of the equation. GWS, as we said, coming back from the break, expected to be in the Conference B race to get out of the conference and contend perhaps for a spot in the grand final. They couldn't be further from that right now, zipping 3, and they'd be just disappointed, I think, with the effort today, which has been good the first couple of weeks, but they weren't able to withstand what Carlton threw at them today.
Yeah, I can imagine what the mood's like down in the change rooms at the moment, and the disappointment from Al McConnell. Obviously, you can't question their effort out there on the ground today, but unfortunately, things just didn't go their way, and Carlton were very, very good. We can't forget that. But they certainly had a few girls who were gallant in defeat. Beeson finished up with 17, and she tried her hard out all day and was really good for them in the midfield. And Yvonne Bonner, she was a real shining light for me. Another Irish recruit coming over from Gaelic footy alongside Cora Staunton. It's great to see that combination forging a really good partnership. So, yeah, it is exciting and they've got lots of positives to look forward to. But, yeah, they'll move on to Collingwood next week and hopefully look towards a win there.
Got a huge game now with Morwell next Sunday against Collingwood. Just having a look back on Carlton. Geelong next week at GMHBA Stadium. They then play 2 more games within their conference. Collingwood at Icon Park on a Saturday night. They then have Brisbane at Icon. So that finishes their games against the other Conference B teams. Their match against the Bulldogs in round 7 now suddenly flipped from maybe being just a token match as perhaps the Bulldogs head to a Conference A finals berth. They might be almost playing in a virtual qualifying final.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so interesting to see this conference system roll out. And, you know, Carlton sitting on top after losing the first 2 games of the competition. GWS now on the bottom. But who knows? GWS could come out and win the rest of the games and it could be a very different looking ladder even next weekend. We just don't know.
Let's head to a break. We're going to head to Fremantle and Collingwood very shortly. But what a win by Carlton. 29-point victors over GWS at Blacktown.